Welcome everyone back to another episode of Q&A with Sharon's son George. I was my mother's caregiver after she was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. Unfortunately, she passed on 1/1/2020, but we started together for Sharon.com in her memory. I started these shows saying I would do maybe like one a month, but the reason I can't do that, I've done I think 50 this month, which is not normal, but you know how much I care about this community. But the reason I do it is one word today, which really epitomizes and shows something that is a drive beyond anything I can prove. And show is determination. And I just want to welcome Megan to the show, but want her to know, and all of you, if you're not aware of Megan, that every time I see her post or see her smiling but running, it kind of motivates me to keep doing what I'm doing. But I wish I could run right by her side. Unfortunately, I can't do that much because of my back, but I'm definitely running by her side in thought. So welcome, Megan, and just such an honor to finally meet. I feel like we've known each other for years, but you inspire me and so many. So I'm such a pleasure to finally get to talk.
Thank you so much. What you do as well inspires me on a daily basis, just your daily posts and updates with everything. I feel like that's one of the ties in the Parkinson's community is how we inspire each other to keep going, whether we're fighting the disease or we're supporting someone. So
I appreciate it. And I always say, and I say it 100 times, people might get tired, but I think we have to be a family in this fight. I feel like together we reach so many more people, and separate we're fine, but we won't be able to bring in, people who aren't aware unless we all join together. And one mission I've had lately, I've done about 50 other people's shows who have no clue about Parkinson's. They're not affected by it. They don't have family, but my dream is to reach those people because I still think we need them aboard this kind of, ship or this run. So let's just get into it. And I'm so excited again because I mean, even just before we talk, I feel like going to run a marathon with you. I can't physically anymore, but can you tell us a little bit about your connection to Parkinson's disease and maybe a little bit also about yourself?
sure. So my connection with Parkinson's disease started in 2009. My dad was diagnosed, and that's kind of when the whole journey began. And um, back in 2009, Parkinson's was still one of the major unknown diseases. It's like if you heard about it and you tried to go do research, there really wasn't too much of a resource. So we were kind of guided blindly into this whole experience. And I feel like there's just been so much headway in that. And just the amount of time between 2009 until my dad passed away in 2021, we learned so much just because of all the resources that were gained and were out there. So it's definitely been a step in the right direction. But as you and I both want a cure for this disease, like that's the ultimate goal. But just having that compassionate community who, regardless of what their connection is to Parkinson's, that is something that is very much needed as well.
I appreciate it. Can you tell us, I mean, not to get too detailed, but a little bit about your background out of the world of Parkinson's? And then, we share a lot, almost like bonded for life because it's a tough topic and we both unfortunately lost a loved one. And I have so much we'll talk about if we have time. You did something that means the world to me and joined in on our, website, but in a different world and category, which I'll get to a little later. But that means a lot because I often feel, and not to get controversial, I do feel as a child of someone who lost a loved one due to Parkinson's, sometimes I don't really feel that I'm welcome. So I'm honored that we were able to start together for Sharon because we started a world where we welcome everyone, even those lost due to Parkinson's. And it's a tough topic, obviously, but I always try to tackle tough topics because I think if you bring out all the topics and talk about them, it's a healthy debate. But I do want to say how much light from our darkness, I know you might agree, has come, like meeting incredible people like yourself. And we send our love to you and your family and everyone, of course, listening. But maybe you could tell us, because I wanted to shift or show everyone, how that changed your life to be able to not shut the door and move on, but to stay, in this world and still fight in your father's memory, but for all those still battling and their caregivers.
Exactly. So a little bit more about me and my personal background. Like I've always been athletic, if you will. I have my Bachelor of Fine Arts in dance, And I kind of followed that career path for a little bit, but then I switched career paths a few years back into the HR world. So I'm an HR professional because I just love helping and assisting people, which is also a reason why I'm so connected to the Parkinson's community, because just helping in some way, shape, or form has actually helped me through my grieving process as well. So, and I know everyone's grieving process is different. And like you mentioned earlier, like just being a child of someone with Parkinson's, it's almost like we don't really know what to do or who to reach out to, because I always say I was the second line caregiver. Like you, from my understanding, you were the first line caregiver for your mother, but for me, I was secondary because my mom was the first primary caregiver for my dad. So me almost feeling like there was a sense of helplessness, because it's like I wanted to help, and every time I tried to help, it almost seemed like there was like that conflict of like my mom's trying to do the best she can to help my dad out, but at the same time I'm not here on a daily basis to see what was going on and how she was having to navigate things. So I felt like if I said something sometimes, that I would cause her more stress instead of helping her in the way that she could potentially need support, which then weighed on me heavily, because I was like, okay, I want to help, I just don't know how. And through my connection, so I joined Team Fox back in 2017, I think we figured out. During when I joined there, that's when I started to find those outlets and those people who also had a similar connection of like, oh, okay, they're second line caregivers as children with parents with Parkinson's disease, or they were first line caregivers, or they were even Parkinson's warriors themselves. So I was able to get more information through conversations that way and find out how to help in various different ways, and also understand that what I was feeling and what I was going through was not only valid, but something others were experiencing as well, which is something, like you said earlier, is a tough topic to talk about, but it's also so welcoming and so relieving in a sense to know that you're not going through this alone, even though that's what it feels like.
No, I mean, so much you said that it's like, I always say, while you're talking with my guests, I'm kind of brainstorming and I'm thinking of so many things me and you need to do in the future together. But I want to ask you now, I'm going to share this, but actually before I do that, can you tell us like a little bit about your passion for running, and also why, what made you decide to start running with Team Fox? I'm a big supporter. We've done it actually that almost $3,000 just this year to Team Fox.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, but it's hard because, like I said before, I can reach the world, but I'm not a great fundraiser. I'm not sure. I just don't like asking people. Although none of it goes to me. If you go to our website, Together for Sharon, you could probably see it, but you click donations and you'll see Team Fox. Everything. I'll just show you quick, but if everyone's listening, today that was about Megan, but this is just an example. If you do want to in the future donate to my mother, but I love these organizations because their links is to them. Everything's a memory of my mother, but I don't have to deal with the accounting, the taxes, all that.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
maybe you could tell us quickly, because there's so much I want to get to and learn. Did you go from like kind of running a lot just for yourself and then shifting to this type of world and kind of charity, or did you always,
Kind of,
yeah, maybe
yes.
you could, I'm not gonna,
So my running journey is kind
you're a
of
beautiful family, by the way, everybody.
yes, thank you. Yeah, that was one of my dad's favorite pastimes, is going out and going fishing, and that was one of the catches that he was super proud of. Of course, they did a catch and release, so they took a quick picture and then put it back in the ocean. But yeah, like that was one of his favorite pastimes, which we still do in honor of his memory because we're a fishing family.
We got seasick, my wife and I, and I worked with the Coast Guard Auxiliary, and I begged the people in the fishing ship to call the Coast Guard to get, so
Oh
we waited
no.
for 4 hours. Don't ask what happened. I never, ever, ever went out again after
I
that.
always have Dramamine with me just in
Yeah,
case. I'm like,
wish
I get a little finicky at times. So
sorry, back to the more important story.
yeah, so I kind of, I say lovingly stumbled into Team Fox. So my journey with running started when my aunt, she started running, and then she saw that I was struggling a little bit staying where like mentally where I needed to be, and she's like, "Hey, like we're from Florida. So one of the biggest things in Florida is Disney. So she's like, "Hey, I'm doing a Disney event that's a run. Why don't you come and join me?" And I was like, "Okay, I'll try it, see what happens." And so I did that. And then while I was running, I saw people that said like Team Fox on their shirts. And I was like, I wonder what that is. Because I saw Parkinson's underneath. Like, granted, there weren't too many of them. And they, of course, were much faster than me. So they were passing me like crazy. And I was just like, oh, okay, like I have to look into that. And so then I saw that they were doing all those races, or like one race a year with Run Disney. And I was like, I have to do that. I have to join that community. Like, since they're fundraising for Parkinson's, and it's kind of connecting the two things that are very important to me and my family, which is Disney, because that's the way that we kind of like bond together and has been a consistent in our lives. And then Parkinson's, which is kind of like a new addition. And that's when everything just kind of fell into place and came together. And the Team Fox, I always say the Team Fox family that does the Walt Disney runs, we are so close at times that it's like one of them even jokes about how like the event isn't just a run or a fundraising event, it's a family reunion, because that's how close we all get. And it's all laughs all weekend. My face always hurts so much from hanging out with all these amazing people, and their backgrounds are completely different too. Some of them have Parkinson's. Some of them were caregivers to people with Parkinson's, and still are. And some of them are connected to Parkinson's through either their parents or their distant like members of their family, like their aunts, their uncles, like things like that, that they are also passionate to join the community to help raise money to find a cure.
Yeah, I mean, that's just hearing that is so inspiring. And I'm we're in South Florida, so I wish I could run over there right now and go to Disney and wait. The
Hey,
group,
we don't meet up
right.
till January, so there's plenty of time to make arrangements to come up and say hey to
Unless you're
everyone.
going to push me in a wheelchair while we're going. I don't know if I can, but I do
They do
someday.
have rolling athletes,
Thank you.
part of the Run Disney community. So
That's not encouraging. I'm just no, I mean, I think it's amazing. I've seen that. I wish I could do that someday. And even if I can, I'd love to support you too. I just want to thank you again for helping us. It goes so quickly. This was July, and I was honored to be able to remember your father. And we send again our love to you and your family. I'll make sure the best I can that they'll never be forgotten. And that's why I was so honored that you joined us. And many of you listening know that I've done interviews with it's going to be 1,000 people soon across the world. But the problem is, I saw a need for people who lost a loved one. I feel like, again, as we mentioned, that we have people diagnosed, of course, and then we have the family, but I think there's like 10 or 20 million people who might have lost a loved one due to Parkinson's, and they're often, I wouldn't say forgotten, but they kind of shut the door, like you even mentioned, and move on. But I don't believe that should happen, because I feel like my mother lost 15 years alive due to Parkinson's, and 15 years after, because she was only 69. She had no other medical issues. So, and I know there's that thing, the people we heard 100 times, you don't die of Parkinson, you die with it, which, every journey is different, but it wasn't the case in ours. But I think all these people should be brought back into the conversation, because like you and I, or you and me, we could help, we can help. We still, even though we lost our loved one, we want other people not to have to go through what our families or our loved one did. So we started this area, everyone I think is familiar. It's called In Memory, and that's means a lot to me. And that we have you here also means the world. And we don't have a lot, because it's very, very hard, because obviously our loved one's no longer here, and even my story here, it's, I can't find the family. So it's kind of a little heartbreaking. You see Muhammad Ali's daughter, but there's so many people out there that we need to have on this page. This is, again, completely free. I don't want anything. I just don't want, your family member or mine to ever be forgotten. So I just want to thank you. Also, everyone, you go to In Memory, click In Memory, and then you can see much more in depth with Megan and a lot about her family. And you can also see how to reach out and also support her. So it's just, again, so honored that you join with me on that. And I think, which we probably could talk after. I wrote a book. It's not going to be out for a few years, but it's in memory of all the people we've lost due to Parkinson's, and your journey and your father will be in it. So it's going to be beautiful, and I can't wait. So, and all the money we make, if any, goes completely to these organizations listed, like the Michael J. Fox Foundation. But now we shift to something more important than me, which is Megan and her family. And this is like one of the most again, beautiful pages I've seen. And now, once again, seeing it, I want to go right now. So let's drop the, let's grab the computers, both of us, and run over there live. And we'll someday maybe that would be fun. So this is Megan's page. Maybe you could talk a little bit about, your page, where the money goes, and anything else you'd like to share. I also love the name of the team.
Oh, that was not me. That was our team captains doing.
I love all
So
the
the Dopamine Adventurers,
nice.
I'm just part of that team that's within the fundraising for the marathon weekend.
Mhm.
But yeah, there's a team of us that get together every single year that do it. So right now, all donations that are made here, 100% go to the Parkinson's research, like Team Fox, the Michael J. Fox Foundation. We don't see a penny of it. We're doing this just because we want to find that cure. We're putting our bodies through the ringer too for this event. So yes, so you'll see how it says the Dopey Challenge. For those who aren't aware of the Dopey Challenge, that's part of the Run Disney Marathon weekend. That's when you run a 5K on Thursday, a 10K on Friday, a half marathon on Saturday, and a full marathon on Sunday, which totals a 48.6 miles within 4 days. So there's a group of us who do it together. There's a bunch of people who also participate in the weekend who don't necessarily do all the races. They do different races. But yeah, it's so much fun for us because we know as we're running the course, we're not just enjoying like the course that's laid out in front of us. We're also having those meaningful conversations in the corrals. Like I remember so vividly the very first time I wore the Team Fox jersey that was years ago. I was out in California doing the Disneyland race out there. Someone approached me in the corrals. And if you know anything about races, the racing corrals, there could be hundreds of people in there. And someone said, I saw you walking by and I had to talk to you. You're the first person that I've seen that has Parkinson's on their shirt. Can you tell me what Team Fox is? And when I explained it, they're like, holy cow, I didn't know that there was a resource like that out there. So even just wearing the Team Fox logo and having conversations with people that are intrigued by the logo and the name of Team Fox and even Parkinson's on your shirt, that person did have a connection to Parkinson's and they had no idea where to go. So even if they don't donate, just us being out there with the name on our shirt is raising the much needed awareness to gain those funds, whether it's that day or months or years down the road.
No, it's beautiful. And I think the number one word which you've used is really magical. I mean, if anyone out there hasn't been to California or Florida for Disney, and now you should try and plan the trip around the marathon. Even if you can't run, just going there to support you and everyone is a beautiful thing. And
we have tons of people along the course that have Team Fox signs just cheering us on, and we love it. We'll stop and say hi even though we're running.
I
We
wish
might get a sweaty hug.
I wonder if they sell these shirts. I would buy one to support you just
They
to be up to
they
target.
yeah, they sell those
Um,
jerseys on, I think, through the Fox shop on Team Fox page. I actually, and this might be jumping ahead, but myself and one other, her name is Megan as well. She's running with Team Fox for the first time this year. We started a fundraiser that has shirts specific for
all right.
Team Fox for this weekend. So it's got a little bit of magic to it. It's not necessarily those jerseys, but all the proceeds go straight to donations on the Team Fox page. So we we don't see a penny of it. It goes straight to Team Fox.
Yeah, if you send me a link, I'll order one and share it everywhere too, and hopefully it'll go to you and support you too.
And
Something.
that's the other exciting thing. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. That's the other exciting thing that we're doing too, because we are so focused on just raising as much money as possible. We're highlighting different Team Fox athletes of the week. So everyone who's signed up for Team Fox, if they reach out to us and say, hey, I'd love to be part of this, we feature them as an athlete of the week. So the whole team or every single person who's running for the marathon weekend, we will help you with your donations.
Yeah, that's amazing. Now I want to shift to something even more important, which you can't get more important than that, and that's your Instagram, because that's how we met. And again, I love it because even, something that's nice is when people are real. And even now we're taping, we don't have a script on purpose. It's a conversation. But every time I see one of your videos and just out there running and fighting still, that's what keeps me so excited. And I always joke and say everyone knows I don't give up because it's really more about you. I meet, the only journey that breaks my heart is the one I'm not aware of. And then when
Hmm.
I discover someone incredible like you and inspiring, I feel bad or selfish that only I know about you, and I want the world to know, and I want the world to also kind of be motivated, because I think there's someone out there listening to us right now that feels alone like we probably did, but now seeing, what you're doing and that you're out there. And again, we can't bring, unfortunately, our loved ones back yet, but we can still ensure that others know they're never alone. And that's what I love about your Instagram. But maybe you can talk. But before that, I did want to mention everyone. I'm not sure if it's linked to your Instagram. It might be, but please go to give.michaeljfox.org/fundraiser slash, and you might not get all this, but we'll put it in the link for sorry, 5431685. They got to figure out a quicker way, but is it linked here? It might, I don't
Yeah, it
know.
is. It should
There.
be. Yeah.
I'm a great researcher. I actually spent a lot of time before we met. There you go, everyone. So we won't be editing this out because I don't like editing, but there you go. You go to the Megan for Team Fox. Now I researched a lot before today, and for some reason Megan Fox came up. So please make sure to put Megan for Team Fox. It took me a while, but I know you, so it was easy to find. So maybe you could kind of touch on how important, social media is to the cause. We wouldn't have met if it wasn't for it. And maybe again, a little bit more about what people can expect and see when they, support you. And please like Megan's page too.
Yeah, absolutely. And like that's the best thing about the internet at times. Like I know that there could be like love-hate relationships with the internet. Like if it works, it's great. If it doesn't, it's awful. But for the social media page, it's like it brings you into someone's world of what's going on. And this has connected me with so many people, not just with Team Fox, like that is going to happen, like the events that happen in Florida, but I've gotten messages saying like, thank you so much for bringing awareness to this, because not everyone understands. Like I did get some messages that said I felt alone, but now I don't, because I know there's others out there going through the same thing. Like my Instagram might be different because I focus a lot on trying to bridge a couple different gaps of like, hey, this is life after you lose a loved one. You can still keep going and keep pushing and moving forward and doing and helping that cause that was so important to you when your loved one was alive. Like this is not just like, hey, I'm no longer done with this, like, or hey, I'm done with this because this person is no longer here. It's like there is still a support system out there for you. And that's one of the other things that I was like, okay, I have to find, like, not necessarily find connections, but I just want to be a resource and an advocate for more than just people who are dealing with it currently, but afterwards, because like you said, a lot of people just close the door, almost like closing the page of a book of saying, okay, I'm done with that chapter, let's move on. But it's my belief that it's part of your, it's partly ingrained in you. Like even though, like, if you look at your life like a book, even though it was a chapter, it's still, you can't take those pages out. Like that did happen. And no matter how much you want to try and forget about it, it might boil up at some point. And there are resources there for you. Like there are
Yeah.
people who have gone through the same thing and will want to support you.
I love the honesty and also reality, but your determination. And one thing I do love too is it's almost, the reality. It's like you really do just show what it's like to still be fighting, still be running, still be pushing, the good, the bad. I always say in the ugly, although none of this is ugly. It's just tough because, I know what I used to run 5Ks. It's now a marathon, but it's not always, easy. So it's amazing to see you shine through all this. So again, I'm so grateful for all you do, and I'm excited to see the future. So I wanted to now touch a little bit. I don't know if there's any other areas you wanted to touch on about the social media, or did I miss anything?
Not that I can think of.
Perfect. And I have like 20 notes now that we'll have to talk about. Usually I don't have that, but now I wanted to shift to a little bit more about you. And again, you're allowed to not respond, which no one ever does, but I want to start off. If you could list 3 words to describe who you are.
Ooh, that's a good one. I like to be optimistically realistic. So there you can still be like really positive about something, but also still keep like a realistic mindset at the same time. It's like, okay, this did happen, but there is still a positive that came out of it. There's still something learned that you learned from this experience. So I know that was more than 3 words for that. But and then what else? Definitely caring. and then determined. I
No,
am a very determined person.
no, that's a literally, I've just started this morning. I'll be finding, think of, one word when I meet someone. That was the word that I actually thought about for you. Can you tell us one moment or one most memorable moment that stands out through all of your work so far with awareness?
Oh, it's not documented, unfortunately. And the reason being is because the weather was not being our friend at the time. But I will say the most memorable moment so far had to have been this past January. Normally, Team Fox, when we're running together, like everyone has different paces. But for some reason, for the half marathon, the weather did make it to where they had to cut the course in half. So we ran half of a half. And so all of us were like, hey, let's just stick together and let's just run this course together, because obviously they're like, it's just a half of a half. So it's not as far as we thought we were going to have to go. And it was the most beautiful moment in my mind, because I don't think it's happened, but every single one of us, I think there was like 5 of us, 4 or 5 of us, we all crossed the finish line together at the same time. And that's like everyone had a different connection to Parkinson's. One of the people running is a Parkinson's warrior himself. So, but we all crossed it together. And I had never experienced something like that. Like, sure, I've crossed the finish line with like one person or 2 people next to me, but not a group of us like that fighting the same fight for the same cause, crossing the line at the same time. I so wish we had a picture of it, but we don't. So, but it
How
just is so ingrained in me right now.
how big are the groups? Like when they start, is it like 20 and ends up with 5? And they're like, I know I wouldn't have made it. Do you know Joe too? Joe is, I don't know if you know Joe. He
I
runs for Team Fox. He has Parkinson's. I
I
gotta
don't know
go.
if I know
Uh,
Joe or
He's
not.
a
If I don't, I would love to meet
look
him.
up online. Joe's got to run. I think that's his Instagram, but his name's Joe Drake. He's been on the show. He's a friend of mine, but
I'll have to look him up.
yeah,
Yeah,
he's
for
awesome.
sure. But normally we're all in different corrals, but that day we all decided to like either drop back corrals or well, yeah, at Disney you can only drop back corrals. So they decided to drop back a corral, like a couple corrals, so that way we could all go together. But I mean, we see so many different like people in different
Yeah.
corrals. I don't know how many Team Fox members were actually running that specific day, but the 5 of us started together and we ended together. Like we stuck together the whole race.
And then this is an off the topic Parkinson's quite, but what's it like running in Disney? Are you actually in the park? Are you seeing characters? Like, I just picture it
Yes.
to be the coolest thing in the world. And you probably
So,
like when I was young, I had an autograph book. While you're running, I'd want to stop and get an autograph, and then I won't be able to finish the race. I'm just kidding. So
well, okay, so I haven't seen it. They haven't done autographs. They do have character stops along the way. And um, I will disclose that yes, I was one of the people who got yelled at by the character attendants because I stopped in the middle. Like I went over to the side, and technically you're supposed to wait in line to get a picture with the character, but stopped and did a quick little drive-by selfie and then kept running. So yes, that
who's
I
your
did get
favorite
yelled at.
character?
Ooh, okay.
Mine is
Um,
Donald Duck, I think.
Mine is probably Hercules and Megara,
Cool.
because like, yeah.
That's a good one. I always think of the main core 8, I love, my favorite's always been Donald.
Goofy's really fun to
Yeah.
meet. Like
Nice.
he is like, whoever the character is very goofy and it is very well done. I applaud those people who are goofy.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean there are rare, so Run Disney, you do run through the parks. Depending on what the course they choose or get certified or clearance for. There are rare characters along the way. So that ones that they don't normally have out in the park. So there are people who do stop and wait in line, but I do know the lines get fairly long. But yeah, I mean, it's incredible. You get to run through some of the backstage areas too that aren't seen by the public.
I was just trying, I probably won't be able to, but there's a beautiful picture of my mother with like Goofy and like, cause when I was a kid, we loved to go to Disney. I should have brought it up before we met, but if I could find it during it, I wanted you to see it. It's pretty funny. But maybe you could touch a little bit now. I wanted to like we don't have as much time as I would like, because I told you we could spend hours, but can you tell us a little bit more about your father? Because to me, that's somebody who, actually here before we do that, I don't know if you can see this. Who's that?
Oh my
My mother,
gosh, with
yeah,
Pluto.
yeah. My mother, when I was a kid, we would go. We didn't go a lot, but I always loved Disney, and this is one with the fox from. I don't know if you
So
can.
that's the character I actually got yelled at taking a
Oh
selfie
my
with.
God! Well, yeah, let me get rid of that one. We won't. I thought we had one with Pluto, but I mean, that's the kind of things that Disney does. It brings you back memories that I feel that Parkinson's can never take from us, and I
Exactly,
just, again, I
exactly.
love what you're doing. I do wish we met many years ago because I would have been out there for sure running. I just after, my back, it's tough, but it's just every time someone says Disney, it brings you back to a place when when you're with your dad or your mom and before all this horrible, disease took them from.
And that's why I think it's so beautiful that Team Fox is actually able to be one of the charities there that Disney allows to participate in the events, because bridging that gap between what are such core memories, and not just with your loved ones when before the Parkinson's either reared its head or before anything like that happened, like just bringing those two worlds together is what I find most beautiful thing about being able to do these events.
Yeah.
So, but to answer your question about my dad, so my dad was a veteran and from the Navy. He was also a police officer for many, many years. He
We're
retired as
family. We're family in many ways.
exactly, exactly. So, and he retired as a lieutenant. Um, so he loved flying airplanes and helicopters and everything. And then he basically was a guy who would give anyone anything that they needed at the time. So,
How old was he when he was diagnosed?
um,
How old were you? If you don't have to share, but
I was so actually that's part of the journey that made it the hardest for me, is because when they told me that he had Parkinson's, we were actually on my way to college drop off. So
uh,
it was a huge life-changing event for me to begin with. And then having that knowledge going into this new chapter, I was like, okay, my mind was going a million miles a minute for the different life changes that were going on. Like, okay, what do I need to do to help support my parents as they're navigating this? Granted, what is Parkinson's and how is it going to affect them? How do I need to support them? And also, how do I navigate the college journey of trying to find yourself and what you want to do and the things that you're interested in and things like that? So, yeah, I'm not exactly sure the exact age my dad was at the time, but he was 70 when he passed in 2021.
they're very
So,
similar. My mother was
mhm.
only 69, so it sounds, she had it for 15 years, but I heard the word Parkinson. I didn't even know it was a disease for 7 years because she still lived independent. My parents are divorced, but only towards the last 4 years she started having stiffness in her left arm. So she had trouble cutting her food, but she went to a special program in our state, which I don't blame the doctors or the trials, but she came home that night and it was just that was really, I'll tell you another time, everyone listening might know our story, but that was the night I had to take over her life because we don't know if they've drastically changed her medicine. But I found her at 4 a.m. moving her furniture out of her house, and she thought there were Nazis in her home that were going to harm her. We went to the hospital and they said we saved her life, but that was when kind of went downhill for 4 years. So
Yeah,
it was definitely interesting to see though how similar our parents, ages and things, because it's too young. I just not,
it is. It is too young,
ridiculous.
because that's the thing too. It's like my dad never met my youngest child.
Yeah.
Like we always say, like he got to meet her first because he had that time with her before she was born. But at the same time, it's like we never got to see that relationship unfold, but because he was so young. And the same kind of thing happened with him where he did start experiencing those hallucinations towards, like, I guess there's different stages now. I'm so far out of the
Five.
Parkinson's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's,
So he, like, as soon as he crossed over into that stage,
yeah.
that was when we were like, okay, this is getting really serious. We need to start paying more attention to things going on.
I mean, everything you say is like, again, I could think of so many things to ask and tell. It's almost very similar. And even just saying your child, my youngest Eli was only like a 1 or 2. So even today, he doesn't remember his grandmother. So that's why, again, I do a lot of this and I bring her up a lot, even holidays. And My daughter was 7 at the time, and now she's going to be 12 this month. My mother's birthday is September 28th, so, and my daughter's is the 30th. So they always shared like this beautiful bond. My mother never had any girls. She had 2 boys, and I'll never forget the day we told her in a restaurant we're eating, and she started crying in joy that our first child was going to be a girl, because she always wanted to buy the dolls and dress up, you know. So that was like just a beautiful moment. So I'm really grateful that you shared that with me. This is an important question and kind of leads into where we're at. Who helps you during times of struggle? Because I try at this point to bring out people kind of behind the scenes. Obviously, you're the star, which I know you won't say, but you're like, you know, the face of the movement for what you're doing and changing the world for the better. But there's someone, must be a few, could be a few people from behind the scenes that we don't get to see, that are there to support you. And also on top of that, I was a caregiver like you. What tips can you give those listening who are caregivers?
Yeah, so behind the scenes, I always have my loving, supportive family behind me. Honestly, if I could shine a light on my mom being like the primary caregiver to my dad, I totally would, but this is not her type of thing that she would want to do. So, of course, it falls on me, but us just being out here, spreading the word, spreading awareness, doing what we can. I feel so supported by them and everyone in my family. And that's even to the extended family that is the Team Fox family that I see and communicate with every so often. We really couldn't do any of this and raise as much funds as we do without any support from each other. So, and then something that, like, a word of advice that I would give is have the hard conversations. It might be super uncomfortable. It might lead to really tense moments, but have those tough conversations and really, really make sure that the person with Parkinson's is being fully transparent with their doctors, because the doctors can only help with what they are told or what they observe. If there is something internal going on that your loved one is communicating to you but not communicating to the doctor, it might cause tension later on, but speak up and say something, because it could help them live longer if they get the proper medication and proper dosage of medication and things like that, because you say something that was told to you prior to the appointment.
I appreciate it. And here's another interesting one. Is there something you might have done differently going back, you know, the past 10 years? I mean, I know we're both kind of young, but you know, going through all the things you have, even just with awareness, is there something you might have changed or done differently?
I probably would have definitely had more in-person visits. So I don't live with like anywhere in the same town as what my parents do, but we're about a 2.5 hour drive away in Orlando. So I would have made more trips. I would have kind of pushed them a little bit more to be more honest. And I can remember there were times where my mom would call me so frustrated after a doctor's appointment that my dad didn't share information with the doctor that she felt she should have, and me just being there to support her and be like, well, you should have said something, like just helping her through it a little bit more and giving her the confidence to say, hey, you have every right to speak up during that appointment too, because you could see something that they're not seeing that needs to be addressed. So just kind of helping her and supporting her sooner than what I had been doing.
Right. I mean, it's amazing how different even technology is 10 today, like 10 years ago. Even, you know, like what we're able to do, we wouldn't have been able to. It's just amazing. This one I love. If you were asked to write a script to a movie about your life story, what would you call
Oh my gosh. I am not creative with titles
it?
at
It's
all.
okay. You
Um,
can always get back to us if you want. We'll share it in a post together.
oh my gosh. Um,
And I do want to just say, everyone out there, please again support Megan, all she does. I mean, this talk is so incredible. We're over, but I just so much that I've learned today. I want to also again thank you, but please support her. Just trying to give her a little time to answer that one.
I think
You are allowed to
honest,
pass.
yeah, honestly, I think one of the quotes would be either keep moving forward or forward is a pace. Like, no, it's like no matter how hard things get, you need to keep going forward.
Thank you. And then the last question, well, first, before we get to that, is there any other areas or topics you wanted to cover? And also, how can anyone out there reach out to you?
So of course you can reach out to me through my Instagram page. I get it directly to my phone and everything. And another thing, I know this is going to be like a hot topic and might get people up in arms over it, but
I'm
if
happy.
you do,
I like those topics, so we will.
if if you are a runner and you do join a charity for a bib, because some runs are very hard to get into, the only thing that I ask, because there are so many amazing people with so many different charities, just look into what they do so that way you can help be an advocate, even if you're only being part of that charity for one race. Like just opening up your mind, opening up the channels to help spread the word, even if it only for a short period of time. That's what I would love to encourage people to do, because sometimes when you're in the running community, you're like, oh, how do you have a connection? And they're like, oh, I just wanted a bib entry. And you're like, okay, like, are you open to hearing any more information? And they're like, no, I'm just here. I'm like, okay. So just being open to hear, like that would, because we all have a story to share and we love to hear your story. Even if that's the case, like that's perfectly fine. Like we're gonna welcome you with open arms.
Thank you. And then the final question for today is, if you could leave the Parkinson's community with some words of encouragement, what would they be? I mean, you already encouraged everyone, me and everyone else today, but maybe can give some final words.
Keep inspiring those around you. Like I just look at all the stories, yours included, and that's what inspires me. So just if we can just keep inspiring each other as a community and keep our arms open to those who are coming into the community, that's the only thing that I would have to say about that.
Uh, Thank you. And we have a little message for you and everyone listening. As always, we love you. We support you. We care a lot about you, and you're never alone. I, along with Megan, will advocate for you, and together our voices are so much stronger. And I always say I'm just getting started, and everyone hears it each time. But the reason is every time I kind of want to give up, or, my mom, I can't bring her back, I then go online and see you, and all you're doing and your videos and all. And I just get like, I want to jump up from my back surgery from the hospital and literally just start running. So just an honor to be able to know you, to call you a friend now, and family in this fight. We send our love to your family, everyone out there listening. Just again, I love these shows because they're inspiring. I can't really, I don't even know if I have a mic. I can't drop it. It's too heavy. I'll hurt myself. I mean, it's just incredible what you do. And I have, even after this show, everyone, we're going to definitely try. I hope Megan still enjoys talking to me, because I like to, this has to continue. I always say this conversation is not about a half hour, an hour, and then goodbye, see you in the next life. Please share this. Please go to Megan's Instagram and support her. Go to the Team Fox for Megan page that you can actually link directly from Instagram, and support her and donate. You're helping so many people, including yourselves, because this is all family, and we have to be a family in this fight. So just want to thank you again, Megan. It's just, I'm so glad we finally got to meet.
Me too, and thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure to talk to you. And this is not goodbye. I definitely will keep in touch with you.
Thank you. And thanks everyone for listening. We have so much more to come, but this has been another episode of Q&A with Sharon, son George. Please stay tuned. And again, we send our love, support, and you're never alone. We're going to both be right there by your side fighting until we have a cure. Thank you, everyone. See you very soon.